Hello, everybody. Welcome to the lunch table. My name's Evan. Today I'm joined with Nick and Zach. And today we're going to be covering, week 13 of the NFL season, the Thanksgiving week. Lots of good football on this past week. Obviously giving our predictions as per usual. But before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at lunchtable.takes. Without further ado, let's dive into these Thanksgiving games, starting off with the first one, which was the Bears at the Lions, had a very interesting ending as the Bears kind of ran the clock out. And that led to Matt Eburflus being fired, rightfully so. So, what are you guys' thoughts on
13 games
that
too
game
late.
and Eburflus being fired?
Yeah, 13 weeks too late. He should have been fired after last year. The Bears have been so close to being a competitive team. Like I think we all thought they could be this year. This game to the Lions, this 3-point loss to the Vikings, the blocked field goal against Green Bay, the Hail Mary against the Commanders. There's been a fair few games where it's like if you change one or two plays, their season's completely different. But yeah, Matt Eberflus, we said this last year, he was way out of his depth at head coach, and this is just the nail in the coffin. I've watched the end sequence of that game like 4 times, and I still don't know exactly what the plan was. I think they wanted Caleb Williams to just get up and snap a play, but
I don't know why you don't spike that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't
I'm
know.
sitting there on the couch going, spike it, spike it, spike it, spike it, and they just didn't do it.
Yeah, and it's a shame because Caleb Williams had a fantastic second half of that game.
Or call a timeout, actually. They had, one or two timeouts?
Yeah, they had a timeout left. They had
one
timeout.
So either one of those two things would have worked, to be honest with you. I will say, though, that the Bears did work themselves out of field position or field goal position on that drive, though, because they had the ball inside the 20 or whatever. And then due to sacks and penalties, they bumped all the way back to the 50.
I mean, yeah, but you still can't. That's still inexcusable. The end of that game is still inexcusable.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that sacks and penalties kind of didn't do him any favors there.
I mean, he took.
Yeah, I said after that, I was watching that game on my phone on the way to my enormous Thanksgiving feast, and I said as soon as that play happened, I was like, he needs to be fired. That was just extremely poor game time management.
I don't know if I've seen worse clock management at the end of a game.
No, that was really bad. I don't like to critique coaching a lot, as you guys know, but this was pretty dang bad. I mean, any dude playing Madden or college football 25 could do better than that in clock management situations. That was really bad. So, but I mean, the Bears did definitely, they fought back, that's for sure. I mean, the first half was ugly as crap. The Lions looked really good, and it was like, oh, this is just ugly. The Bears couldn't do anything, but they fought back. I mean, Caleb Williams had a really good second half. They don't run the ball very well. I think that's a problem. DeAndre Swift just couldn't do anything against the Lions. But Caleb Williams played pretty well in the second half. I mean, they definitely tried to come back. I think if it wasn't for stupid mistakes and dumb clock management, they would have probably taken it to overtime.
Probably. The Lions, I mean, I'm not reading too much in on the Lions side of things. Divisional game at home, you've won, I don't know how many it is in a row, 10 in a row now. Just something ridiculous. Lapse in judgment, regular season game. Their second half, what I think was the worst half of football they've played all year. Their second half, they did not look good, but, I mean, it happens, and they still found a way to win the game, or to win the game.
There's really not a lot of reading into that to do. I mean, it's a divisional game. You know how divisional games go. It doesn't really matter if you're better or worse team. It's always going to be a good game. So,
yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I didn't really have a lot of observations on the Lions side of things. I mean, they looked like the usual 11-1 Lions in the first half. Second half was rough, but, they still got away with it. So,
yeah, this marks the third time since 2017 that they've drafted a quarterback and then fired the coach a year in that same season. 2017, they obviously drafted Mitchell Trubisky and fired John Fox midseason. brought in
I
Matt
don't even know
Nagy.
who that is. I've never heard that name before.
He was their coach for 2 years.
Oh,
Then they
jeez.
brought in Matt Nagy, drafted Justin Fields, fired Matt Nagy during that season, and now you draft Caleb Williams, and then you fire Matt Eburlfus.
I
So
mean,
it's
this
just
is
a pattern of just dysfunction, and you can tell why the Bears, haven't been a good team in a while because, I mean, they're just revolving door at head coach consistently, and I do think like obviously I think Caleb is better than Trubisky and Fields were coming out of college, but
mhm.
um, I even then like you both said, I was on the train of just get a whole new regime, get him out, get Eberflus out of there, just get a whole new regime with the rookie quarterback, which is what Washington did, and it's been working out pretty well with them.
It
Jalen
just is
Hurts and
like
Jalen Daniels are doing really well.
it's just so bad, like mismanagement on the Bears' part. It's like you wonder why the Bears are never any good. It's because they have new coaches and quarterbacks every other year. I mean, there's no there's no like
There's no
continuity.
actual sense of direction with
No,
that
there's
team
no
ever.
direction in this franchise. They go with a different quarterback and coach every other year. You're not going to get anywhere ever. I mean, obviously their front office is dysfunctional because if you're hiring,
Ryan Poles is a good GM too.
well, the GM I don't think makes the coach. I mean, the GM's not the one hiring the coach, right? I mean, that's the owners, right? I mean, so it's like you got obviously their owners are struggling right now because if you're just going to be constantly hiring and firing coaches, it's like you just have no clue what you're doing, like in the hiring process. I mean, clearly, um, but yeah, I don't know why they decided to keep him throughout this year. I mean, did they really think he was the guy moving forward? Like all they did was just stunt Caleb Williams' growth for half a season, and now they just dump him middle of the year. About the year's over now, but like I don't even know why they bothered sticking with him. Just fire him like the Commanders did, and bring in I mean, do your due diligence and find a coach that you think is going to take the team in the direction it needs to go. I mean, they just wasted Caleb Williams for 13. They just stunted his growth for 13 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, you have to wonder how this is going to change, how this is going to affect Caleb's progression, because I mean, you'll go in next year fully new playbook, new offensive system, more than likely.
He's a rookie again,
Um,
pretty much.
yeah, and I mean that's what happened with Fields and Trubisky, is you come basically a whole new regime, whole new offense, everything, and you have to relearn everything, and it's kind of tough for some people to get hit the ground running like that. And I don't think the Bears are the way that they've built their roster is in hopes of making playoff pushes, and they can't be having slow starts. Um, so I don't know if that's going to affect Caleb's growth or not. We'll see, but it'll be interesting to see who they hire as a head coach. Obviously, I think Ben Johnson he's been in the
Oh,
talks
I hope it's not him.
with everybody, and there'll be a bunch of other people as well. But it'll be interesting to see who they get. But speaking of dysfunctional organizations, the New York Giants just ended one of their probably worst moves in their last decade. They released Daniel Jones after benching him for Tommy DeVito. Um, and then we don't really have to talk about the game because the game was garbage. But what were your reactions to Daniel Jones being released and then signing with the Vikings?
I think this was the correct move for the Giants.
Yeah,
I
good
think like
riddance.
I think, and honestly, I think the Browns are in a very similar situation. Like, it gets to the point where it's like, we messed up. We got to just eat it and cut ties. I mean, Daniel Jones is just a not good quarterback at all in a very terrible, dysfunctional organization. It's like, you just got to eat it. You just got to eat the money and let him go. Because you're not going anywhere with him. And I'm sure we'll probably talk about the Browns, but I believe that is the same situation that they should do with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, the Giants will be drafting a quarterback in 2025. That's all I'd have to say about this game. I did not watch a single second of this game. I'm going to keep it 100% honest with you guys.
I don't have anything to say about this game either. It was a terrible game. Both
Yeah.
teams are just horrendous. I don't really know. The Giants made the right move getting rid of Daniel Jones. That's it. I mean, the Vikings picking him up, I was a little perplexed by that. Not really sure why that happened because Sam Darnold is
Playing
28,
solid.
and they could always re-sign him for another couple of years if they wanted to. He's 28 years old. They got JJ McCarthy, who was going to be the starter. So I don't really know why they bothered picking Daniel Jones up, but
I
whatever.
think he was on their practice
He's on the
squad. Yeah.
practice squad.
Yeah. So take
I
a
guess it doesn't
flyer
hurt
doesn't hurt.
then.
Yeah.
But yeah, good move for the Giants. Well, the correct move
The
for the
correct
Giants.
move for the Giants.
They have just. I mean, they've just nuked their franchise in the past couple of seasons by what they've done with Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. So I mean, and they traded away a lot of their defensive guys too. I mean, they got Dexter Lawrence still and Malik Neighbors, but it's not looking too good in New York there.
Yeah. So the dead cap hit actually so they'll have 47 million in dead cap this year, but then next year it's only 22 million. So they're actually freeing up 19 million dollars in cap space for the 2025 season. So they
Then it
cut
was
him at
definitely the right
they
move.
cut him when his deal was kind of running low, so it
Mhm.
wasn't as egregious as a cap hit as the guys like Russell Wilson was. And
Yeah.
so
Ooh, we'll
I
talk
think it
about
was the
that
right
too.
move, obviously,
Yeah.
because obviously he'd been awful and the Giants weren't going anywhere. So, but I do, out of all drafts to draft a quarterback in, this one might be one of the lower ones. For there's a lot of wild cards in this draft, but it was time. It was time. Packers Dolphins. Any thoughts on that game? The Packers improved to 9-3.
Packers look
Dolphins.
good.
Jaden Reed is very good. I don't understand how Jaden Reed isn't like week in and week out their top receiving option. He's good. He
He
put
only
on a
had
couple
3
games.
catches, but 2 of them were for touchdowns in this
Well,
game.
that's the thing. Man. I don't know why he doesn't see more volume. I mean, that I don't know, but I think Jaden Reed's pretty good. This Packers team is legit. I like this Packers team a lot. Got a good defense. Jordan Love, same old with them.
Yeah. I
They look
think
good. I
that
like the Packers team.
the Dolphins' cold allegations are beginning to snowball. No pun intended. At this
There's not
point.
really much that they. I mean, yeah, you play in Miami and then you go to freaking Lambeau Field in November.
Yeah, I
It's
mean
going to be a little
you
rough.
have 39 rushing yards on the game.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dog. I like you've got like winter football. You have to have some semblance of a running game, and the Dolphins just did not have that. Tua played pretty well, 365, 2 touchdowns. He did throw the ball 46 times, but that's still a solid game. And Jonnu Smith, Hall of Fame fantasy waiver wire pickup if you have him. Tyreek Hill, Devon Achane got in the end zone. But yeah, I think the Dolphins' cold allegations are beginning to merit or beginning to warrant some more criticism. And they're 5-7. The Bills have already clinched the AFC East, which is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
There's a full month of football left, and they've already clinched the division. That's insane.
Well, when you win
Um,
10 games or whatever,
and every one of your teams are below 500 in
Yeah.
your division. Like, it is what it is. They're getting the. This is what Tom Brady had for 20 years in the AFC East. Just terrible division rivals. But yeah, the
True.
Dolphins probably have to win out in order to get a wild card. They don't quite control their own destiny because they don't play Denver down this stretch. But yeah, 10-7 probably is what they're going to have to be. I would they're better than like they've got the Jets twice, the Dolphins at home, and the Browns on the road. Or not the Dolphins at home, the Dolphins as a team, the Niners at home, and then the Browns on the road. So I'd argue that they should probably win all 4 of those games, and then at Houston would be their toughest matchup. But yeah, Mike McDaniel, I don't know, is he really a good head coach? Like I really don't know, but
It seems without Tua, his coaching philosophy, his coaching wonders go out the window.
yeah, but even still, like they haven't really improved as a team in 3 years.
That is true.
So I don't know. I don't think McDaniel's going to be fired after this year, but I do think next year if the Dolphins don't improve, he might be on the hot seat. But yeah, Green Bay looks good. The Dolphins, like I said, kind of a lost season for them. maybe a wild card, but that's probably the extent
I
of.
don't even think they're gonna.
Yeah, I don't
I don't
think they're
think they're
going to
gonna be
make a
getting
wild
into the
card
wild
either.
card. I
Yeah,
think
they're on
this
the outside looking
year's.
in. They need a lot of stuff to go right, but they were on a 3-game winning streak before this game. And Tua had been playing a lot better, but it being in the cold obviously played a factor. And the Packers, like we've said from the beginning of the season, they're still legit contenders. Um, they're in such a good division with the.
They're third in their
I
division.
mean,
They've won 9 games. That's
yeah,
insane to me.
they're third in their division with winning 9 games, which is crazy. But yeah, they look really good. Obviously, Josh Jacobs has been playing really well recently. Um, Jaden Reed, Tucker Craft, they chipped in for good games. And that defense has still been really good. That as it was beginning of the season, still has been pretty good. So yeah, they're definitely a team to be reckoned with, and it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how the NFC kind of shakes out because you're going to have um, like the person from the NFC South and the NFC West are going to be considerably worse than the two teams from the North that won't get a home playoff game. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on there. All right, let's move on to this Black Friday game.
Ugh.
So the Chiefs won 19-17, marking their 9th one-score victory of the season, and that begs the question: at this point, is it just luck that they're winning these one-score games, or is it just they're that good of a team that they can win these one-score games?
They're that good of a team that they can win these 1-score games. Like,
Yeah, it's not. It's
it's
not
not
luck
luck that they keep winning these games. Like
as much as we
as
like.
much as we would
Yeah,
hope it would be.
yeah.
Like, there's a trend here. They keep
No,
making
they're a good team.
plays to win these games. I get they're not against the greatest competition, but this isn't like college football where Miami's winning a bunch of close games, but they have a talent advantage. Like, the NFL talent is relatively equal. So the fact that they're able to win all these close games is a testament to how good they are in clutch situations and how good Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are at closing out tight contests. I will say Brock Bowers is what you get when you get a prospect that is actually generational at his position. Brock Bowers is a monster.
Yeah, I mean,
He is a monster.
yeah. I think that I think good teams do ultimately find ways to win, no matter what the how the game's going. So I do think the Chiefs are a good team. I don't think they're as good as what we've seen in the past, but I do think that they are a good team.
I feel like we said this last year though, and then they went and won the Super Bowl. So it's
Well,
like,
I mean, I'm just gonna say, I mean, I'm not picking against them in any game in the playoffs or in the Super Bowl. Just, I mean, it doesn't matter if they're playing the Lions or the Eagles. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, if the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl, their NFC opponent, if it's one of those two, is just by far the better team. But I will still pick the Chiefs because it's just that's how it is. You know, you can't. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid always find ways to win, no matter what the odds are, they always win. So the Chiefs are a good team, but yeah, Brock Bowers is really good.
I think this game might have been a little bit of luck because what are the odds that the Raiders center throws it off of Aiden O'Connell's head at the last play? Like that's not really
I
skill,
forgot that happened in this game.
um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. Obviously, there's some games where they just win just because I mean Patrick Mahomes will take them down and they'll kick a field goal. But obviously, there's been games where they've gotten a little bit lucky, which is I mean it's just part of the
The
NFL.
Broncos game, the block
You know,
kick.
sometimes the ball
Yeah,
just
I mean
rolls your way. You know, I
you
mean
have
that's
like
just
the Ravens game where
Yeah,
they're
Isaiah
literally
Likely's
a
foot being
toe
half a
from.
size too big.
Then you have the Bengals game with questionable pass interference call. Um, there's
not even that.
multiple
Missed holding calls too.
multiple instances where
Falcons game.
they barely get away with stuff, and a lot of people, I read, I think it was every team in the last decade to have win like 8 or 9 one-score games in a season have lost in the first round of the playoffs. I think the last team being
The
I think it was,
Vikings in
yeah,
2022.
yeah.
Yeah. So are you proposing that their luck's going to run out?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say when you have Patrick Mahomes at the helm of the quarterback, but I don't think it's. I
The
feel
ball
less.
has been going their way in every conceivable way in every
I
game.
feel less confident about them this season than I feel like I did last year.
I
Like
agree with
last year, at
that.
least their defense was like really good. This year, I don't think their
Yeah.
defense is elite.
No, I
I
mean
mean, I
they're
mean,
definitely
you
a good
literally
team.
had Bryce Young put 27 points on them, and Aiden O'Connell diced them up.
Yeah.
Like that's 2 games now where below average quarterbacks have diced you up. Like I don't
Yeah.
think that their defense is as spectacular as it was last year, which is why I mean, I felt like they were going to be in a lot of those games, but I think their defense has regressed slightly. But it's still hard to count them out, obviously, because they have Patrick Mahomes. But I mean, I think if they face
Yeah,
the
they
Bills or the Ravens, or I think it could be a little bit.
they
Things could be
have
a different
regressed a
story.
little bit. They're 8th in total defense, 3rd in rushing defense, but 23rd in passing defense.
Yeah,
So
the passing defense has been bad.
it's not. It's been a step back for sure.
For sure.
It's like the Ravens; they're like 32nd in passing defense, but they're like top 5 in rushing defense.
Yeah, they're 31st in passing defense and 2nd in rushing defense,
Yeah,
which makes them.
but I don't know. We'll see. It's obviously tough to pick against the Chiefs, but I wouldn't be completely shocked if they end up their luck ends up running out at some
I
point.
wouldn't be shocked either, but it's just one of those things where it's like, when you have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and things are just going your way. I mean, you know, and I think that they've proved time and time again that because
They are
of
not
those
to be
certain
doubted.
times. Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen in the past couple of years now that really no matter what the situation is or what the odds might be, they're probably still going to find a way to get it done. I mean, they're a good team. They got a great quarterback and a great head coach. So I mean, they're going to find a way to get it done.
All right, let's hop into the Sunday slate of games. We'll start off with the Cardinals and the Vikings. The Cardinals were up. What was it? 20 or 19-6 or something. Yeah, 19-6 going into the half or going into the
It was
third,
like
and then
midway through the third where they were up 19-6.
yeah, and then they ended up losing 23-22. The comeback win for the Vikings.
Yeah, this was a heartbreaker for the Cardinals. Because the NFC West is so tight. If you want to be a playoff team, you got to find ways to win these games. And I have said this for the past month and a half. They've got to find a way to get Marvin Harrison Jr. more involved in the game. Um, I get he had a touchdown, but only 5 for 60 and that touchdown. Like
Yeah, I don't get what that is.
he is
What's
your
going
best
on out there?
He's your best offensive player. He is. He's your best offensive player, and they're just I don't know what they're doing,
What's
not
going
really
on
getting
out in
into the passing
Arizona?
game.
Why are they not like? I don't understand why they aren't getting him involved. Why does he get like 5 targets a game?
Yeah, I don't know.
He
Like,
did get
with,
targeted
Trey
12
McBride
times
being their
today.
leading receiver, it's like okay, I can understand that. Trey McBride's pretty solid, but Marvin
but that's
Harrison
not how it
Jr.
should be when you have a guy like Marvin Harrison. I mean, Marvin Harrison should be seeing like 10 targets a game. To be honest
They
with you,
both they both got 12 targets this game. McBride and Harrison both got 12
that's how it
targets.
should
Yeah,
be every week.
they might have just been
But
drafting
McBride
him.
had 12 catches and Marvin only had 5, but he did score a touchdown.
Yeah,
Like, you've got to find ways to get Marvin Harrison the ball. Like, I don't understand what the issue is out here. Like, you got a good quarterback. They aren't finding ways to get him the ball. I mean, he's their best offensive player, and they just aren't getting him the ball. I don't.
the
You're not going to win.
Vikings.
Like, you're not going to win football games if you don't get your best player the ball. Like, I don't really know what. I don't know what's going on. The Arizona Cardinals are a strange football team. I don't know what's going on out there.
Yeah, on Minnesota's the Minnesota's won 5 in a row now. Sam Darnold's been playing much better these past few games. He had 235, 2 touchdowns, and this one did not turn the ball over. And yeah, even with the lack of a running game, they found ways to win. Shout out Johnny Munt for his touchdown in this game. Aaron Jones also had a receiving touchdown. Justin Jefferson had basically 100 yards receiving. Like Their defense played pretty solid in this game. The Vikings they're just a good team. I don't know what their true ceiling is because they do still have Sam Darnold at quarterback, but their defense is very stout and they've got the playmakers to threaten most other teams in the league. They're 10-2 for a reason.
Yeah, well, they're legit. The Kyler Murray though, he did do his best to will out of the concussion. He had some really bad
He
turnovers.
did do that. Both
Um,
his interceptions in this game were very, very bad.
yeah, but yeah, I knew this one was going to be a tough one just because of how good that Vikings defense has been. Um, but yeah, I mean McBride's been his number one target, and Marv chipped in with a touchdown. But yeah, I do agree that he does need to be getting involved more. Um, and yeah, I mean for the Vikings to pull this one away with basically zero running game, um, is pretty impressive. Obviously, Justin Jefferson things. And yeah, I mean, like you said, Sam Darnold's been playing a lot better. I think they're going to be a tough team to play in the playoffs. We'll see. Yeah, like you said, I don't know exactly what their ceiling is, but I think they're a very good team, and it'll be interesting to see who they get matched up against. All right, next one, shall we? Chargers Falcons. This one was former Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins. He played pretty bad,
Pretty bad is a very, very nice way of putting it.
horrible.
He was atrocious in this game, and he's been not good for the past few. Um, I don't. But yeah, 18 to 27, 173 against Denver with a pick. Let me. I did not want to click that. Let me go back to the Falcons here. And then the game against the Saints, he 23 of 38 for 306 and a pick. So yeah, past 3 games he's had no touchdowns and 6 interceptions,
Yikes,
and
that's
the
really bad.
Falcons have lost all 3 games. Um, 2 of them by 1 score. So somehow here we are that the Vikings or not the Vikings, the Falcons and the Bucks are tied at 6-6.
That should not be the
No,
The
Vikings. Or
NFC
not the
South
Vikings.
is
The
so
Falcons should be
bad.
pulling away with that,
no,
like big time.
and it's Kirk Cousins. It's Kirk Cousins and the lack of pass rush. Like that's what it is. And the Falcons have the Vikings this week, so in Minnesota. So that's going to be he's throwing 4 picks against the Chargers and the Broncos.
The
Um,
Chargers and the Broncos both have good
they
defenses,
do,
though.
but so does the Vikings. The Vikings have a good defense as well.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like the. I think the Chargers are a pretty good team.
They are a good team. The Chargers had no business winning this game though,
Yeah,
with the just the way that the Falcons, for the most part, were moving the ball on them, but Kirk
I
Cousins
feel
just
like the
could
Chargers
not
had
take
no
care of the
business
football.
like the Chargers had no business being as good as they are this year. Anyways, though, I mean Jim Harbaugh has just worked wonders with this team. I mean, I had this team winning like 6 games going into the season. Like they have no, their wide receiver one was Quentin Johnston or a rookie Lad McConkey. Their backfield was J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards.
J.K. Dobbins is on IR now, so they don't even have
Yeah, well,
him.
that's true too. I didn't foresee this Chargers team doing anything this year.
Um,
So
for context, the Chargers had 187 total yards in this game. 147 of them were Justin Herbert passing yards, and 117 of those Justin Herbert passing yards went to Lad McConkey. So,
yeah,
the Falcons had no business losing this game, and the fact that they did is very concerning. I still don't know if I would throw Penix in, but
no,
if Kirk Cousins has another 0 touchdown, 3 interception game against Minnesota, it
You might
might be
have to.
time to give it a shot because he is single handedly sinking their season right now.
Yeah, you might have to. That would be a tough decision, but yeah, I mean, if you have 4 games with 0 touchdowns and multiple interceptions, that's something's got to change. That's pretty bad. But yeah, I mean, obviously Kirk's been really bad recently, but shout out, shout out to him for targeting Drake London 16 times.
good lord.
Um, but yeah, the Falcons they're definitely in trouble for sure. I thought they were going to be a lot better of a team this year, but they're on a 3 game losing streak. Granted, 2 of them are to playoff teams, and the Broncos and the Chargers, but the road doesn't get easier as they play the Vikings. But they do have a favorable schedule to end the season. They play the Raiders, Giants, Commanders, and Panthers. So they should win all but probably that Commanders game. But on the Chargers side of things, I mean, they're a legit team. I mean, Jim Harbaugh is, like you said, Zach, he's worked wonders for this team. Justin Herbert still has only thrown one interception on the season, which is crazy. He's been really efficient. He's been playing really well, and they're not. The offense isn't running through him. It's like they're not throwing the ball all over the yard like they used to. They're ground and pound, obviously, which is more of a Jim Harbaugh type of thing. But that J.K. Dobbins injury is huge because he was playing really well. So we'll see how that affects them ending the season. I don't know if he probably should be back by the playoffs.
Yeah, he'll be back for the postseason, but I don't know if he's going to play another game in the regular
Gus
season.
is decent though.
Yeah,
I don't.
but I mean,
know
really,
if I agree
nobody
with
else
that.
did anything in this game on the Chargers side except Ladd. I mean, 9 catches for 117 yards, 12 targets, and the second highest was Quentin Johnson with 12 yards and 2 catches. So it was literally just the Justin Herbert Ladd McConkey game, and he just diced up their defense. Which, I mean, he's phenomenal route runner. Like that's what
Ladd
we saw.
McConkey is
And then
legit,
in
but they
college,
have no other
he's
help
legit.
on offense in the receiving
No,
department.
they still need help receiving wise, but yeah, the Chargers have been a surprising team, and they're legit. And the Falcons, I feel like, have more question marks than answers, which was not the case early on in the season. All right, Nick, you want to talk about the Colts?
I'm gonna talk
Patriots?
more so about Anthony Richardson here. Keep doubting him. Keep writing him off. Like we talked about this. I don't know if it was last offseason or the offseason before, where looking at the stats only, looking at box scores does not give you the full picture of this game.
That's what you do though most of the
No,
time.
no, no. We are not starting this narrative. Okay. You look at the box score for Anthony Richardson: 12 of 24, 109 yards, 3 total touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Not a great game. Not a great performance on his end. That's just how it is. But if you actually watch the game, you understand that his impact transcends the box score. Um, Jonathan Taylor, 96 yards rushing, almost 4 yards a carry. That doesn't happen when Anthony Richardson's not in the game because they'll just stack the box for Jonathan Taylor. His availability on sacks that they don't have with Joe Flacco and quarterbacks in the past is something that defenses have to account for. 2 fourth down conversions on that last drive. One of them scrambling to his right, throwing across his body. Is a vast improvement from where we've seen him. And the fact that Shane Steichen had the gall to go for 2 after that game, what would have been the game tying touchdown drive, shows the faith that him and this team have in Anthony Richardson. I still think Anthony Richardson is the future of this Colts football team. I still think that he is improving week to week. And with a favorable schedule down the stretch here, there's still a definite path for the Colts to be that 7th seed. But they have a de facto playoff game at Denver. Not this week because both teams are on bye, but December 15th. If Denver wins that game, there's your 7 AFC playoff teams. Like, those are going to be your 7 teams. It's just a matter of seeding. If the Colts win that game, then the Colts would be a game back of Denver with the tiebreaker, and they're playing the Titans, Giants, and Jaguars, which might genuinely be the 3 worst teams in the entire NFL down the stretch. So, yeah, that Colts-Broncos game is massive in 2 weeks. Anthony Richardson, I still think, is getting better week to week. I still think he's the future of this Colts franchise. And Drake May also played solid, relatively speaking. 238, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He also had 59 yards on the ground. Yeah, he played very good. Austin Hooper had a touchdown. I think Drake May is going to be a pretty solid quarterback for the Patriots as well here in the future, but they don't have much outside of him right now. But yeah, very entertaining game as well. It was very close, very entertaining.
Are these teams going to invest in wide receivers though, or
The Colts in theory have decent young receivers. Alec Pierce is a legitimate
In
the threat.
theory.
Even though he had 2 catches for 16 yards and then that touchdown, but
Exactly.
yeah,
The Colts wide receiver room is a lot better than the Patriots.
yeah. The Colts have
It is, yeah.
Josh Downs is unironically a stud.
He
In
is,
this slot.
but freaking Anthony Richardson doesn't get him the ball.
Nah, he got him the ball against the
today.
Lions last week. Josh
He didn't
Downs
play
had
this
probably
game,
80
so
yards taken back by penalty.
The Colts don't need wide receivers. They just drafted A.D. Mitchell. They have Josh Downs.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about A.D. Mitchell.
I wish
They'll
A.D.
be
Mitchell
fine.
wouldn't have bricks for hands half the time, but
Yeah,
he's got nothing.
the Colts tight end room needs completely overhauled.
Yeah, the tight end.
Their tight end room is abysmal.
Is
Like,
Mo
I'm
Alley
not
Cox
going to
still
sit
there?
here and think that I could do better than their NFL tight ends, but Kylan Granson, Will Mallory, Mo Alley Cox, like, get out. They have to draft a tight end. A tight end or corner. That's one of the two. They have to.
Almost had Brock Bowers.
I know. Imagine if we had Brock Bowers.
That would be insane. But yeah, I mean the Colts, like you said, they definitely could squeak into that playoffs. That Broncos game is a must win. We'll see who the better horse is in that game.
Who the better horse is in that one?
Yeah. Broncos and Colts, both horses. But then yeah, I mean they play the Titans, who are terrible, Giants terrible, and Jags terrible. So they should win all 3 of those games. But yeah, Anthony Richardson, since being benched, definitely has improved. I think it has helped him. Obviously, the Colts didn't really do anything when he was benched, but I think he's been playing better. He's still not great, but I think he's, like you said, Nick, he's showing improvements. If you look at his stats, you won't obviously see that, but if you watch the games, you'll see that he's making plays and he's continuing to improve day in and day out, which is what you want to see from your young quarterback. So I think he's. I wouldn't give up on him yet. I think he's still your guy, even though it was looking a little bit shady here at the beginning of the season. I think him coming back from his being benched has definitely helped him a lot. He's playing a lot better. And Jonathan Taylor, he's been picking it up recently. Though he had a good game, like you mentioned. But yeah, you kind of like the Packers, where you have good receivers, but you don't have like a great receiver. So you kind of just have a pile of pretty solid guys, but nobody like outstanding. Which obviously could come because obviously Josh Downs is super young. He's been playing really well, but he was unfortunately hurt this game. Alec Pierce has become a really good deep threat, and we'll see how A.D. Mitchell and Michael Pittman do. But on the Patriots side of things, I mean, really the only thing good about this team is Drake May. He's been playing pretty well. I liked what I've seen from him, even though they've lost 3 straight. I thought he's been playing fairly decent. So it was a solid game. Also, shout out to the Patriots for kicking a 68-yard game-winning field goal.
That was like a yard and a half short of actually going in.
Yeah. Have you got anything or
no? Not really. Let me think for a second.
Well, this next game, you're going to have a lot to say. So if you don't have anything to say here, we can move on to the next one.
I think about the only thing that I have to say is that Anthony Richardson benching was actually, I think, a helpful thing that happened for both parties.
Do you still think he's a bad quarterback?
Yes, I don't think he's very good, but he is playing better. He's definitely playing better football, but I mean, I still don't think he's that good. But he is a physical specimen. I'll say that.
He is.
But I don't think he's a very good quarterback as of right now.
He's also 22 years of age, so he is our age for context. By the way,
man, what are we doing, man?
We're sitting at home talking about him.
Yeah.
Never met a hater doing better than you. That's
Well, this next game was no shy of good quarterback play as the Steelers beat the Bengals 44-38 with both quarterbacks throwing for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. There's not much to say at this
So
point.
I think we're going to be doing a Around the Jungle episode, so you have to check that out for
Yeah, we will.
more in depth. But the Bengals are a very bad football team. They're terrible. Um, this defense, I think, is one of the worst defenses I've ever seen step foot on a football field at any level in my entire life. They are very, very, very bad. And they're costing. I mean, they've cost the Bengals just about every game this year with poor defensive play. Um, I think that the biggest thing that, or I'll highlight two different things here. Um, Number one, there's only one quarterback in the history of the NFL to ever throw for 300 plus yards, 3 touchdowns in 3 weeks, and lose all three of those games. And that other quarterback is Andrew Luck. So that's not a category that you like to see Joe Burrow in. But unfortunately, due to the Bengals' just
Organizational malpractice.
totally incompetence and epic failure and inability to do their job, Joe Burrow very well could be the next Andrew Luck. And so the second thing that I will point out here is oh crap, what was I going to say? Cut this out, Evan. Let me think for a second. It was that, and then there was two things I wanted to point out. Oh, there it is. So I just wanted to point this other one out. At one point in the history of the Bengals franchise, there was a quarterback by the name of Carson Palmer, and he was a Heisman Trophy winner and a very talented quarterback. And he, at one point in time, was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. The Bengals decided to be cheap and not pay any other player other than him. And due to that, their franchise just collapsed. They were just terrible. And Carson Palmer requested a trade. So the similarities are striking here. You know, Joe Burrow, Hall of Fame quarterback talent, Heisman Trophy winner. They make him the highest paid player in the NFL, but they just neglect the other 21 positions. And because of that, the team sucks. And Joe Burrow, ooh, man, he's going to be on his way out of Cincinnati or on his way out of football before we know it, I think. But I think that just shows the malfeasance and incompetence of this franchise's front office. I think the Bengals might have the worst front office in the entire NFL. They just continuously repeat the cycle of getting great young talent, being absolute cheapskates, not paying them, letting all of them go, so they effectively close their own Super Bowl window. And it just keeps repeating. I mean, there's just no change. The most mind-boggling part about the Bengals front office to me is that you can sit there and you can look at every single year since the Bengals have been a franchise since like the 60s, whatever it was, 60 something. Every year, like how do you sit in an ownership role and look at every year from the 60s up until now and look at everything the Bengals have done and say, I'm confident we're doing the right thing and I don't think change needs to be made. And I'll tell you what, that change is not the head coach. That change, the Bengals will not be fixed until they have new ownership. And I'm just, it's unfortunate, but that's how it is. So the Bengals will never see success until they have new owners. And that probably is never going to happen because it runs in the family, unfortunately. So, I mean, it's just the same old crap in Cincinnati, the same old repeated process. If somebody who was like in their 80s right now could look back and watch all of the Bengals history, they would just see continuous repeated cycles of complete incompetence and foolishness from this front office. And that's what we're witnessing. We have witnessed the Bengals shut their own Super Bowl window. We're going to witness a Andrew Luck / Carson Palmer 2.0 with a Hall of Fame talent quarterback in Joe Burrow. And then I'm sure we'll see the process get repeated in another 10 to 15, 20 years.
Nick, what are your thoughts?
I am not going to say anything about the Bengals because it'll be a broken record. I am going to talk about Pittsburgh, though. If this Pittsburgh offense can play like they did, I get it was against Cincinnati and the Bengals defense. The Bengals defense is actually 27th in total defense. The Colts have a worse defense statistically than the Bengals do this
I
year
would take the Colts defense over
in
the
total
Bengals.
defense, believe it or not. But again, that's why you don't watch the stats because
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the Colts defense make plays when they've been required. I have not seen the Bengals defense do that this year. Besides that, I'm not talking about the Bengals. It's a broken record with them. Joe Burrow is ridiculous, but it quite literally doesn't matter. If the Steelers' offense and Russell Wilson in particular plays like they did against the Bengals, they can win a Super Bowl. They can win the Super Bowl. They're like they. Everyone knows they've got an elite defense, a good head coach in Mike Tomlin. Najee Harris, I still don't think is great, but he's definitely a lot better than he used to be. But if Russell Wilson comes out and is throwing for 250, 300 yards a game and 2 to 3 touchdowns, like this Steelers team can make some real noise in the AFC. I think that's the biggest takeaway from this game is that their offense looked really, really, really good. And that is scary for the rest of the AFC because they've got the defense to shut anyone down. And they've got the head coaching and Mike Tomlin to adjust on the fly. And who knows where this Steelers team goes? They're 9-3. We keep saying they're going to fall off because of their schedule, and they haven't. They've got Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs in this stretch in mid-December, 3 games in 11 days. So we'll see how they fare with that. But they looked really good on offense, and that's kind of what I was waiting on for them. So I think they're very, very good.
Yeah, I mean, I said when we did our like mid-season superlatives, they were my most surprising team. I didn't see them being as good as they were, but they're sitting at 9-3, first in the division. And since Russell Wilson was named the starter, he's only lost one game, which was last week in a blizzard against Cleveland. And yeah, I mean, he looked like Russell Wilson from the Seahawks when he was in MVP conversations this game. I mean, he was making throws that I haven't seen him make in 3 or 4 years. Obviously, 414 yards, 3 touchdowns, only one interception, which came at like first drive of the game
It
for
was a
them.
pick six. It was a pretty bad like interception, but
Yes, but he rebounded from there and was completely just dicing them up. I mean, I think he checked down to the yeah. Both running backs had four had 55 yards, so he was checking out of the running backs a lot because obviously the Bengals were just giving it to them because their defense is atrocious. But I don't know. I doubt that. I don't think this Pittsburgh offense is going to be putting up 40 a game on teams, but I do think they are a legit offense. They're not just a defense this year. They do have a legit offense. They're going to score points. George Pickens, when he's not fighting people or getting unsportsmanlike conducts for flashing guns, is a heck of a receiver. And is a really good deep threat guy. And Pat Frymuth has been really good recently. Calvin Austin gives him another deep threat as well. And then you have Najee and Jalen Warren, who are both healthy in the backfield, who are both capable pass catchers as well. So if Russell Wilson can continue to play how he's doing and take care of the football, put the ball in his playmakers' hands, I think that I think it's going to be a recipe for success. And this was probably a down game for the Steelers defense. I mean, they don't usually allow 38 points, but TJ Watt, I think he had two forced fumbles, at least one. He had at least one forced fumble, which is, I mean, per usual. Um, then, I mean, their secondary is still pretty good. Joey Porter, though, does commit. He's kind of like, as an Ohio State fan, he's kind of like Igbenogson. He's a really good talent, but he gets a lot of penalties because he's very handsy. But yeah, I think if they win that division, and I think they're definitely going to be a team that teams have to be worried about. I don't think they're just going to be kind of like we've seen the last couple of years where they always sneak it in the playoffs, but nobody really takes them seriously because they're not really that great of a team. I think they're actually a pretty good team, and I think this will mark how many consecutive seasons that Tomlin this
20.
game marked. How
The
many
Steelers
consecutive
have not had
seasons?
a losing season since 2004.
Yeah, that's absurd. So what is that? 20 years?
21 years. I know
That's
it matched the NFL record for longest stretch without a losing
yeah.
season.
So that's insane. But yeah, we'll see really what they're made of when they go against the Eagles, Ravens away, and then obviously play the Chiefs at home. So we'll see really how good this team is. Those 3 games will be telling to see how good this team will be coming in the playoffs. But I think they're a really good team, a lot better than past years. And I think they're a team that has to be taken seriously. That I think could win a couple playoff games. I don't know if I'm going to say that they're going to be in the Super Bowl, but
I don't think I would say that.
I think they could win a couple games for sure. And the Bengals' broken record, I'll talk about it later. Real quick, we talk about this one because we're running a little short on time. But the Texans and the Jags. Texans escaped the Jags 23-20, but Trevor Lawrence got killed basically by Aziz Al-Shire as he was sliding and got decked in the head, which he obviously was concussed. He was carted off the field, and it was a massive fight. And Al-Shire is now suspended for 3 games. But the Texans sneak by, and they've really taken a step back this year. They haven't been as dominant this year.
Yeah, they're probably going to finish with around a similar 10-7 record, I would say, but like I don't think they're nearly as good of a team this year as they were last year. Their offensive line is still a major problem, and CJ Stroud has taken a step back. Relatively speaking, 3,100 yards, 15 touchdowns, 9 picks. Still not bad, but
Yeah, it's not bad, but that's definitely not even close to what he had last year. That 9 pick to 15 touchdown ratios, that's not.
Well, it's
Great.
hard to replicate as great of a rookie season as he did.
Yeah, I mean, he's just having a sophomore slump. I mean, I think the Texans are still going to probably win the division, and I mean, I think they'll be all right. But they are not the. I don't think they're like the AFC contending juggernaut that we thought they were going to be going into the season, though.
Yeah.
And the Jags are just maybe the worst team in the NFL, so there's not much to say there.
yeah, I will say Aziz Al-Shire got a lot of crap, rightfully so. That hit was incredibly dirty. That was a cheap shot, and I think the suspension is warranted. But he literally apologized on he put a long apology in his notes. He's like, I didn't mean to cause that kind of harm to Trevor Lawrence. I'm not that kind of guy. Yada yada yada. He was like, I can't remember the exact apology, but I felt like it was very
Yeah, it was
genuine and heartfelt. So I'm not gonna slander him. He's a good player. Just made a bad decision. Unfortunate timing there, but I mean, he'd own up to it. 3-game suspensions warranted, I think, because it was very dirty. But I mean, what more do you want from the guy?
Yeah, I mean the Texans, they're definitely taking a step back. That offensive line is not very good, so that's definitely something you're gonna have to address in the offseason. And some of those deep throws that Stroud was hitting last year, he hasn't been hitting this year, which I don't know. Probably doesn't help that he's had a lot of his receivers have been banged up and have been in and out of the lineup, so he hasn't really been able to get like that great of a chemistry with all of them. But I mean, the Texans are still the Texans, so they'll win the
AFC South for sure. There's
AFC
3
South.
games up on the Colts with 4 to play.
Yeah, so I don't think they're going to be. I mean, a lot of people peg them as Super Bowl contenders. I think they're probably a step down from that, but anything can happen playoff time. So we'll see with them. Let's get in these last 3 games that we're going to talk about. 2 of them being pretty major games. First being the Eagles beat the Ravens 24-19. The Eagles, they're looking like one of the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
They look scary.
The Eagles are really freaking good. I mean, I think the Eagles are right on the Lions' heels. I mean, I said last night, I think that if the Eagles and the Lions go to the NFC Championship, I think that's the Super Bowl. Those are the 2 best teams in the NFL right now, I think. The Eagles and the Lions are both playing very, very good football.
There's a team in upstate New York that'll have something to say about that, but
I don't think the Bills are better than either of these two teams from top to bottom. Both of these two teams are
oh,
extremely good right now.
yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
From top
Eagles.
to bottom, I mean, yeah, neither of them have a guy named
They're
Josh
all
Allen.
Super Bowl contenders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, both of these teams are really good. The Eagles look extremely good right now. They got offensive player of the year with Saquon Barkley. I think he's probably right there for the MVP. To be
What is he,
honest with
third
you,
in line for MVP?
I think he should be
Probably.
second, if anything.
Him, Lamar, and Josh Allen are probably the top three right now, but I think he probably should be above Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, you put
At this
Saquon
point.
above Lamar, 100%. This guy is phenomenal. I said going into the year that he could do for the Eagles what McCaffrey did for the Niners. That is what we're seeing. I mean, Saquon Barkley is just a phenomenal player. He's elevated the Eagles offense like to just a whole other level. Yeah, the Eagles look really dangerous right now. I mean, they're 10-1, or right 10-1,
10-2.
10-2.
10-2.
That's right, 10-2. Yeah. Won like what 8 or 9 straight games. Yeah, these guys are rolling. I'm liking the Eagles a lot right now.
Yeah, on the Ravens side of things, the suddenly unbeatable, unstoppable Ravens offense is now sitting at 8-5. Which I mean, last 4 games: Giants, Steelers, Texans, Browns. They're going to be in the postseason for sure, but they might not end up winning the AFC North, which I think would shock
No, the
most
Steelers are
of
winning the
us.
North.
I don't know. I don't know.
I
It
think the
depends on what
Steelers.
happens.
again.
How
The
many games are
Steelers
they
and
ahead?
Ravens
One.
still play again,
The
so
Steelers are in, yeah, I think through.
the Steelers
They're
are a
either,
game and a half up on Baltimore. Baltimore's got their bye this week, and the Steelers play the Browns again. So
I don't know,
if
man. I think the Steelers might have a pretty good
Well,
chance to win
they
this
play again in Baltimore, so that'll be a
yeah,
big game.
so
game. Yeah.
the Ravens are going to have to win that game if they want to actually win the division. But yeah, I don't.
They've been
Lamar played
sliding
well
all
in
over
this game
recently.
too. 237, 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry had 82 yards on the ground, but they just didn't make the plays you need to make in order to win
The
this game.
Cooper DeJean tackle on Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Also,
Cooper
Justin
DeJean
Tucker
is
is legitimately
phenomenal.
washed.
He is phenomenal.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but this Eagles team, man, they are they're a dang good football team. I enjoy watching the Eagles, man.
The Justin
Yeah.
Tucker situation, I think, will become a legitimate problem for the Ravens.
I don't think the Ravens are a Super Bowl contender right now. They've been sliding.
I wouldn't say
They're,
that. I still
they're,
think they can
they'll,
beat
they'll,
any
they'll
team in
make
the league on any given day.
they'll make the playoffs, but I don't like them beyond that.
You're a Ravens haters.
Yeah,
I am. I don't
that
like
is true.
the
You are a
fact that
Ravens
you
hater.
are is insane, Evan.
I never said I like the Ravens, but I'm gonna be realistic with their.
I am
The
being realistic.
The Ravens are
Realistically,
absolutely still Super Bowl contenders. They can beat any team in the league on any given game.
Eagles took it to them, man. I don't know.
They won by 5. I wouldn't say they took it to them.
I don't know, man.
They were the better team, but I wouldn't say they destroyed.
I think
them.
the Ravens are worse than the Eagles, the Lions, the Bills, and maybe the Chiefs.
All right,
I
so
think those are
they're
your
the 5th
four.
best team in the
I think
NFL.
those. Yeah, but I think those top four are really your four,
And
realistically premier Super Bowl contenders.
I mean, probably, but who knows? The Ravens might win their last 4 games and then be 12-5, and who knows what we're talking about then. But the Eagles are really freaking good. The Eagles are really good. They've got a legit defense now, and Saquon Barkley is a transcendent talent.
Yeah, I mean the Eagles, they're hitting their stride at the right time, right? And coming playoff time, they're looking at their best, which is huge. I mean, this was a game with 2 running backs who were both threatening to get 2,000 yards on the season, and very easily could do that. And one team had to win, and that was the Eagles. They played better. Saquon Barkley, again, 100-yard game, rushing touchdown. Jalen Hurts didn't throw the ball a lot. Only threw it 19 times, but was pretty efficient. And this was also without Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith did not play for, I think, second or third straight game. But I think a big thing for this team is, I mean, you mentioned Cooper DeJean, this rookie class, which, I mean, a lot of people, when you gave your post-draft grades, gave them an A+ due to them getting Mitchell and DeJean. And Mitchell and DeJean have both been outstanding. they've both been the best corners in this draft so far, and they look very good. And that just helps to an already good defense. I mean, that has a defensive line of Jalen Carter, who's been a monster, and um, Jordan Davis, and you have Reed Blankenship, who's been really good too. And um, I mean, their defense is very good, and their offense, like you said, we've with Saquon Barkley, has just completely transformed that offense. But yeah, I think this is two of the top tier teams in the NFL battling it out, and it was a very good game, very fun to watch. But one had to win, and the Eagles got the upper hand. But I think both teams are definitely Super Bowl contenders and will be um, for the foreseeable future. Um, Then we had another snow game, 2 weeks, two snow games, is what we like to see, as the Bills beat the 49ers 35-10. Before we talk about the Bills, I just want to kind of the 49ers, they're
They're
on the outside
done.
looking
They're
into the
cooked.
playoffs.
Um,
I don't know
I
what your
don't. I
percentage
don't.
is, but
To be full on honest with you, I don't like their last 5 games are Bears, Rams, Dolphins, Lions, and Cardinals. Is there a single one of those games that you're looking at now with CMC and Jordan Mason likely being out for the rest of the season? That you're like, yeah, the Niners are they're going to win this game.
No, I think the 49ers are kind of done.
Um, they're
This
probably
game
going to have to go
is
10. They have to probably win out in order to win the division, and I see. I think they lose to the Lions, and that's one game, and then they could very easily lose to any one of those other 4 teams. So,
I
unless
think
we
this
see a
Bills
small
game was
miracle,
kind of the nail in the coffin for him. I think, especially with those two guys being out for the year now. I mean, yeah, this was a dumpster fire performance for the 49ers. I don't see anything else coming down the line for these guys in January. And it's injuries. I mean, it's not just. I mean, it's not anything else. It's just injuries.
do
They've been behind the ball injury wise for the whole year.
even with the injuries though, they've been a step behind what they were last year with
Well,
when
it's hard to
everyone was
replicate
healthy.
what you were the year before. I mean, they're the best team in the NFL last year, probably. I mean, it's tough to replicate that.
I'm gonna talk about the Bills before I ask a question here. Buffalo's they're Super Bowl contenders. Josh Allen's the MVP front runner right now.
he had a passing, rushing, and receiving touchdown against
Yeah,
them.
one of the most iconic games in Bills history, one of the most iconic plays in NFL history, with the Josh Allen pass to Amari Cooper, who then pitched it back to Josh Allen in the snow for a historic touchdown for Josh Allen and his stat line in that game. The Bills are really good. They're very balanced. James Cook had over 100 and a touchdown. Ray Davis got in the end zone. They've got a running game. Their defense is still legit, which we've said all year is shocking considering how much they lost last offseason. Sean McDermott is a good head coach. The Bills are they're the only team to beat the Chiefs this year. They're absolutely a Super Bowl contender. This might be Josh Allen's legacy season, but we'll see what happens down the line with that. Um, do we think that Brock Purdy is the guy for the 49ers going forward? Is that a narrative that we have to start asking? Because
I
throughout
don't
this
think
year where they
so.
haven't been fully healthy, he has not been the guy that we've seen in years past.
I don't think this is a narrative that needs to be started. I mean, the dude's having one down year,
I
and they've been wrecked with injuries this year.
I
I
mean, yeah,
I,
but
re- I
injuries
realize
happen in
I
in
realize
football.
that the NFL is very, very much a win now business, but I mean, come on, dude's had one bad year. You just won the Super Bowl with him. I mean, are
Pat,
we really asking this question?
I am asking this question. I'm absolutely asking this
Oh,
question. Past 5 games that he's played, he's had 0 touchdowns, 3 picks, which is the Chiefs 212 yards, Cowboys 260, 1 touchdown, Bucks 353, 2 touchdowns, but then Seahawks 159, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and this game against the Bills he had 94 yards. Um, I don't think it's time to give up on Brock Purdy, but I don't know if I would be
It
paying
has
him the.
literally been 13 games.
I don't know if I would be paying him the probably close to $300 million that the 49ers would have to pay him if they gave him a contract. I don't know if he's that. I don't know if he's that guy, but I'm sure he's gonna get more time to prove himself. Like he's gonna.
He's won
It's
the
not.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's not. It's absolutely not ready to jump ship at all. But I like.
The fact that somebody is even bringing this up is insane to me. He's had one slightly down year. Like what on earth is happening right now?
I don't know if I don't know if I'd give him $300 million that the Niners are going to have to. That's a question. It's a question that you got to ask. Fair enough.
I don't think it is. Maybe the
think this
300
game-
million part, but I don't think. I mean,
But that's the thing though. If you're going to pay Brock Purdy, that's probably what you're going to have to give him.
Yeah, that's what the market is. I don't think this game was fully on Brock Purdy because obviously they're not used to playing in the snow, so they were kind of out of their element immediately. And I mean, when you have your two of your best players on offense be out for basically the entire season, CMC being out for basically the whole season, I think he played 4 games or 3 games or whatever it was. Brandon Ayuk hasn't played at all. Deebo Samuel's a shell of himself. George Kittle's really the only good offensive player on this team outside of CMC. When CMC's hurt, I mean, you have Juwan Jennings, who's had games where he's been really good, but it's hard for any. I think it's hard. I don't think anyone is saying that has put Brock Purdy in that like upper echelon, like elite level quarterback play, where he's like a Josh Allen, where he can play really well, or Patrick Mahomes, where they can both play really well with not great talent around him. I think he's a guy that you have to have great talent around him for him to be a really good quarterback. And this year that hasn't been the case just due to injuries. So I don't think it's time to jump ship on him, but he definitely hasn't been as good as he was last season, and the 49ers as a whole just have been disappointing. But I think that's mainly just because of injuries and outside circumstances that are out of their control. But I think maybe for them to take that next step, maybe Purdy has to elevate his play. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they're willing to give him $300 million or not. Because that's a steep price, but we'll see. I mean, he's given you every reason until this season to give you that contract. So,
I mean, do you think that people have to play like the best football of their career year in and year out, like to just not be immediately put on the hot seat?
When you're a team that is as talented as the 49ers, I think that you have to have a guy that helps you win now. And I know, I get that.
Evan just pointed out, Deebo's a shell of himself, and Brandon Ayuk has just not even played. Like you can't pin that on the quarterback.
I get that. I get they've been wrecked with injuries, which is why I'm not like, oh, Brock Purdy has to go. I wouldn't do this, but injuries happen in football.
They do, and when they happen,
the narrative that they are not used to playing in the cold. The Bills are also playing in the same cold. Like I don't. You can't have that.
When injuries happen to the best player on like your team, you can't expect that you're just going to keep rolling along like nothing happened.
No, I'm fully aware, but like with as talented as the Niners are, like it's a decision.
And half of those guys aren't playing. I mean, this team in the current state that we're seeing is not the team that we saw last year due to injuries and people just not playing. Like, I mean, you can't pin this on the quarterback. You can't jump ship on a quarterback or a coach after one bad year. I mean, like, I realize the NFL is like the most win now business that I've ever seen in my life, but like, that is a little absurd though. I mean, we're playing football. Like, not everything's going to go your way, and not everybody's going to play to the best of their ability, game in and game out, year in and year out. Like down years are going to happen to players, to coaches, to teams. Injuries are going to happen, and that significantly changes the outlook of a team. I'm not saying Brock Purdy is at the level of Josh Allen and that he deserves $500 million because he's not at that level, and I don't think he ever has been. But he is still, I think, the guy for this team moving forward.
But
And
the thing
in,
that
in the
I'm
immediate,
saying is, if you think he is that guy moving forward, you're going to have to pay him Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson type money. And we've seen with a guy like Trevor Lawrence, who is like, he's not one of those guys
well, I
that
mean, what are you going to do? Just jump ship on him and hope that you find someone else that you can pay that money to? When you have a guy that can win you a Super Bowl as he is?
I'm just saying it's
Like,
something that they're going to have to consider. Because if they give Brock Purdy that kind of money and it doesn't work out, then they're screwed. Which, I mean, that's for every team in the
that's
league.
the gamble you
But
take on any player. I mean, the Bengals paid Joe Burrow $500 million, and he immediately got injured and just didn't play the next year. I mean,
the thing I'm
you're
saying
taking
is,
that gamble on anybody.
Brock Purdy is a solid quarterback. Okay, you can't put up the kind of numbers that he put up in the NFL last year without being at least decent at the NFL level. But
Yeah.
is it like $300 million? That is your future. And I don't know if Brock Purdy is a transcendent talent that's warranted giving that money to. If the
Well, here's
Niners
the
did not
thing. I
have the
mean,
amount of skill
like, you
position
can't.
players that they had, I would be like, I'd be more open to it. But the Niners have a lot of people that they're going to have to pay.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, not every quarterback in the NFL is a Burrow Allen level talent that deserves that much money. I mean, like just because you're a quarterback doesn't mean you automatically get $500 million. These quarterbacks can have different salaries, so I don't think they're going to have to pay him $300 million.
They're absolutely going to have to pay him close to that
Yeah,
if they give him a contract.
I mean, I
Why?
think majority of the guys that like quarterbacks that are listed in like the top 10 of like money probably don't deserve that.
And that's my point. Like, why are you?
If the Niners don't give it to Brock Purdy, another team probably is going to.
Like I think Purdy. I'm not getting rid of Purdy, but I do think it's interesting for teams going forward to see if they're still going to be dishing out that kind of money to quarterbacks. Because I mean,
I don't think I don't think just because you're a quarterback, you immediately get $500 million. Like, I think you have to actually be good.
Yeah, but here, so I
Like,
mean,
like,
what
if I'm
saying
going to pay someone $500 million, they better be a Mahomes Burrow level player.
well,
Purdy's not that level.
NFL
I'll pay
teams
him 200 million,
have
maybe
done that.
250. I don't know, but like, I don't know.
I mean, you saw the Giants give Daniel Jones that massive contract after one playoff.
Well, that's because they're
You have
morons.
Trevor Lawrence is currently the fourth best player, the fourth highest paid player in the league, and he's done absolutely nothing. Dak Prescott, that contract looks bad. Tua, we don't know about him. He's like number 6. And then you have Deshaun Watson, who's getting paid $230 million. He's barely played.
It's like if you have those guys that are getting that kind of money, you have to pay Brock Purdy minimum $250 million if you give him a new deal.
So it is if you're a quarterback, if you're like a decent quarterback, you're getting a lot of money.
Okay, well here's the thing. Here's the thing. How are you going to get a quarterback better than Brock Purdy for cheaper?
Draft a new one.
Unless you just draft one. Which in that case, like, they aren't going to have a high enough pick to do that, number one. And number two,
I don't know, man. If they don't make the playoffs, they'll have a top 15
Do you
pick.
really think that one of these
I'm not saying that there is a
Brock
single
Purdy?
quarterback in this draft class that is worth taking that gamble on. But I am saying that, like, it's definitely not like an unfeasible like route that they go. I don't think they should do that at all because there's a lot of stuff that's happened that's outside of his control this year. But he has not done any favors to warrant the criticism that he's going to be receiving, fair or unfair.
I mean, one guy can only do so much here. I mean,
all right, we got to move on. We got one more game here.
Jeez.
This Monday night game, which was yesterday as we're recording, the Broncos beat the Browns 41-32 in a all-out slugfest where Jameis Winston threw for almost 500 yards and had 4 touchdowns, but as the Jameis Winston experience is, also had 3 interceptions, 2 of those being pick sixes.
This game needs to be framed in the Louvre in NFL history because this is the peak Jameis Winston experience. It does not quite get better than this. 497 yards, 6 total touchdowns. 2 of them went to the other team. And just absolute fireworks from start to finish. And it was shocking because the Broncos defense is good. Like their defense is very, very good. Like I did not expect this at all. But the Broncos have now shown that they can win in a shootout with a rookie quarterback, which is very big for
I
them.
don't have. I'm going to keep it pretty short on this game, but Jameis Winston, you got to take the good with the bad, man. I mean, he threw 500 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's pretty dang good. 2 pick sixes is pretty dang bad. You got to just take both, you know. And ultimately, I think Jameis Winston is by far and away a better option than Deshaun Watson.
Well,
So
yeah.
that's going to be.
I don't think either of them should be the future of this team. Like I think the Browns should be drafting a quarterback in
Oh,
this
I
upcoming
agree, but
class.
I
But
think Jameis Winston is a good bridge guy though, or a decent like interim player. But on the flip side, Bo Nix is legit, and I told you guys from the start, Bo Nix is a good quarterback, and this Broncos team is rolling. I Bo Nix is getting it done, man.
yeah,
I'm a bit.
this Broncos team is good. They've won 3 in a row. Probably should be 4 in a row with the Chiefs. Yeah, Bo Nix didn't have a fantastic performance in this game. I don't think he played bad. I think he played better than his box score will indicate. Obviously, that 93-yard touchdown to Marvin Mims on a kind of busted play, but still a seed of a throw. Um, and then 294 yards on the game. The big thing for Denver is that their running game is a lot better than it used to be. Jaleel McLaughlin averaged 6 yards a carry in this game against a pretty stout Browns defensive line. And yeah, Bo Nix is a good quarterback. I'm shocked by how he's performing. 2,800 yards, 17 touchdowns, 8 picks, 88 QBR on the year. Not like
He's making a case for the rookie of the year right
yeah,
now.
I think he is. I think he is making a case for offensive rookie of the year. Still not quite sure I would give it to him over Jaden Daniels, or Brock Bowers for that matter. But
I don't
he's
know
definitely
if the Broncos keep going upwards and the Commanders and Jane Daniels kind of go down a little bit.
yeah. But
I think you can make a case.
I mean the Commanders are going to be probably a playoff team as well. So I don't know. But yeah, I think Bo Nix is pretty good. He's a very, very solid quarterback, and like I said, that game against Indianapolis in 2 weeks from now is going to be huge. If Denver wins that game, they will be the last wild card in the AFC. They'll be essentially 3 games up on the Colts, and then 2 games on the Bengals and Dolphins with 3 to play. So yeah, that's the reality of the situation. I think it'll be a good game. Both the Colts and Broncos have a bye this week. That game is in Denver, so there's that element to add to that game as well. But yeah, I think the Broncos are a good team. I think Bo Nix is a good quarterback, and still don't think they're a true AFC contender this year, but they're definitely a playoff caliber team for sure.
Yeah, this was a fun game to watch. I mean, Bo Nix, he's a good quarterback. I mean, he made a lot of really really tough throws, really good throws. If you look at the box score, you wouldn't tell, but he outplayed his box score. I was surprised at how little it looked, but Jameis. I mean, there was. I mean, at one point where the Broncos threw like a 93-yard touchdown, and then the next play, the Jameis Winston throws like an 85-yard touchdown.
Jerry Jeudy had.
Yeah,
I mean, he
Jerry
had
Jeudy revenge game. He was talking a bunch of crap before the game. He had 235 yards and a touchdown against the team that traded him away.
It was an
So good for
NFL
him.
record for most receiving yards in a game against your former team.
It was, which is good for him because I still think he's a good receiver. He just hasn't really, gotten the opportunity. So it's good for him because obviously that since trading Amari Cooper, that the Cleveland's wide receiver room took a big hit, so that'd be huge for them if he can become more consistent. But yeah, I think Jameis is definitely the guy for this season. And if they don't draft a quarterback this year, I think they should re-sign him. I mean, yes, he had 3 interceptions. 2 of those were at the very end of the game. But I mean, 400, almost 500 yards, 4 touchdowns. If he can, I know he hasn't ever, but if he can somehow get the turnovers to go down.
Yeah, this is just who Jameis Winston is.
Yeah, it's the Jameis Winston experience. All right, let's rapid fire these predictions. But
Oh crap!
last week, Weaver with a perfect week went 16-0.
Yeah.
First time ever. I went 15-1. Nick went 12-4, and Joel, I'm not sure how he I can't remember. But he probably did solid because it was pretty straightforward
What
week.
are we on now? 13 or 14?
We're on week 14 now. Starting off with the big Thursday night game, Packers at Lions.
Oh, this is a brutal one to pick right
Yeah,
off the bat,
this is
dude.
a monstrous game to
Ugh. I'm
start
very
off the
excited
week.
to watch this game. I couldn't be more happy to watch this game.
Um, listen, I'm trying to find the standings in the end. I might shock some people. I'm gonna take Green Bay in this game.
You know, I want to.
I'm gonna take Green Bay in
I
this
think the
game.
Packers are legit, dude.
Yeah, I think the Packers are very good. I think they're gonna be playing with more of a sense of urgency than Detroit because I think they want to get back in this division race. I think they want to secure officially a playoff spot. I don't think they're quite there yet, but a win against Detroit would go a long way into making sure that becomes a reality. Detroit beat them in Green Bay in that, monsoon kind of a game back in like early November, about a month ago. But I think Green Bay gets their get back. Um, I think that they go to Detroit and win a monster game against the Lions and end their winning streak.
Yeah, I think I think that both of these teams are so good. And this, I mean, really, the whole division's really good. But I think that particularly these two teams are so good that I feel like they're going to split. I don't think the Lions. I think the Packers are too good to get swept by the Lions. It very well could happen, but I think I'm going to go with the Packers on this one as well.
Yeah, I'm going Packers as well. Two phenomenal teams. It's going to be a high scoring affair. But yeah, I think both these teams are too good to. I think they'll split. All right, then we cool off a little bit on Sunday. First game, Saints at Giants.
Um, I'm gonna take the Saints. They've got some players in
Yeah,
Derek Carr and Alvin Kamara.
I was going to say I want to take the Giants because their defensive line's pretty good, but I mean they don't even have a quarterback. So I'm probably going to take the Saints in this one as well.
Yeah, Saints, pretty easy. Browns, Steelers.
Steelers. It's in Pittsburgh.
It is.
Yeah, I think the Steelers are going to get back on track. The last time the Browns and the Steelers played, it was a great game, and the Browns really had a heck of a game.
It
But I
was
do
the
think the Steelers are
Jameis
gonna
Winston Snow Globe game.
It was.
Hall of
I-
Fame nostalgia game in about 6 years.
Yeah, I think the Steelers are going to probably take this one though.
Yeah, I'm going Steelers as well. Defense is going to bounce back. And the only reason they really lost that last game was because it was a blizzard. So. Falcons, Vikings.
I'm taking the Vikings in this game.
Yeah, I like the Falcons, but I think the
How
Vikings,
can you like the
the
Falcons?
Vikings
right
are pretty
now?
good because I like Kirk Cousins.
All right, fair enough.
But the Vikings just keep proving again and again why they're like 10-2 or whatever the heck they are. So we'll go with the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm going Vikings as well. With Kirk Cousins' struggles and how good that Vikings defense is, I think it'll be more the same for the Falcons, and the Vikings will pull away with this one. Raiders at Bucks.
Give me the Bucks in this one.
Yeah, I'm taking Tampa Bay as well.
Yeah, I'm going Tampa Bay. The Raiders almost beat the Chiefs, but I don't expect them to do anything. Brock Bowers will have another good game. Panthers at Eagles.
Before the Eagle, I'm picking the Eagles in this game. Bryce Young is also playing much
He
better
has been playing better.
than, and for that matter, Will Levis as well. All three of those guys in the 2023 quarterback class are picking it up a little bit in terms of their play. I am still going to be picking the Eagles in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can't pick the Eagles. This train is rolling.
Yep, I'm going Eagles as well. Jags, Titans.
I think I'm going to take the Titans in this one. Nick just said Will Levis is going up a little bit.
I don't know if Trevor's playing.
Even if he is, does that really affect it that much?
No.
The coin landed on tails. I'm taking the Titans.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
going Titans as well. Like you said, Will Levis has been playing better, and if Trevor doesn't play, they have no offense.
Did they put him on IR?
I
No,
don't think so.
I don't think they
I
did,
thought
but
I
they
saw
aren't sure if he's
something
playing or not.
that
I
they-
don't know. I doubt he plays because he took a pretty gnarly hit, obviously. Jets Dolphins in Miami.
The Dolphins have to win out in order to maybe make the playoffs. I think they'll win this game.
Yeah, the Jets are just really, really bad.
Yeah, I'm
Dolphins.
going Dolphins. The Jets are horrible. They're just a dumpster fire. Seahawks Cardinals.
This is a monster game in the NFC West.
This is a really tough game to
The
pick.
Seahawks
Like
are
both these teams
7-5.
are
The
even.
Cardinals are 6-6. Those are the top two teams in the division right now. The Rams are also 6-6. So, who are the Rams playing this week? They're playing the Bills. Oof.
Bills.
But yeah, this is a monster game in the NFC West.
This is a tough one to pick because I feel like both these teams are pretty dang even here. I mean,
I'm gonna take Seattle in this game on the road. I
the
think that
Cardinals just
Julian Love has been a fantastic addition for Seattle in this game. They came back against the Jets. Geno Smith had a solid game, not a great game, but they're 7-5 for a reason. They've won 3 in a row. Their defense is picking it up a notch. This is the same defense that held the Cardinals to 6 points last
what
week.
was the final of the last time they played?
16-6 Seattle.
Because that was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm going to take Seattle in this game. I like their defense a lot, and I like what Geno Smith has done this season.
What can it hurt? I'll take the Cardinals in this one.
Yeah, I'm going Cardinals too. I think they'll bounce back from that disappointing performance last time they were in Seattle and make the division interesting. Bills at Rams.
I like the Rams, but I think you got to go Bills here. Well, shoot. I don't know, man. The Rams are.
Here's the thing. I thought the Rams would beat the Eagles when they played them because I thought if there was a head coach that could figure out the Eagles' defense, it was Sean McVay.
How bad did they lose that game?
They got waxed. It was 37-14 before the Rams got a garbage time touchdown.
Right.
I'm not making that same mistake again. I'm picking the Bills in this game. They're just head and shoulders the better team.
I mean, they
I'm going
are,
Bills
but
for the same reasons.
shoot, I don't know. I think this could be a good game.
Be different, Weaver.
I wrote down Bills to start with, so I think snap decision. I'll go with the Bills here, and that is because of Josh Allen. But I think this could be this could go either way here.
Bears 49ers in San Francisco.
I at this point, it's like the 49ers have to win this game, or else their season is officially over. So I'm going to take the 49ers.
Give me the Bears. They were one play away from beating the Lions. Give me the Bears.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bears too. New intern coach. Heard some good things about him. He's going to give a jolt to this team, and they're going to win a game against the very banged up 49ers. Chargers at Chiefs.
If it was in LA, I would consider the Chargers, but it's not. So I'm going to take the Chiefs in this.
I think you got to go the Chiefs on this one.
In a very low-scoring Sunday Night Football game. I think it'll be like 14-10 or something along those lines.
I think it'll be a good game, though. Once again, I can't bet against the Chiefs, man.
Yeah, I'm going Chiefs too. And then Monday night, final game of the week, Bengals at Cowboys.
I think they should have made the Bills and the Rams the Monday night game.
They would have done that, but this is the Simpsons game, so all of
that might make the
animation's already been done. I think that's the only reason this game didn't
get
get
flexed. It is. That's the only reason they didn't flex it.
Listen, the Bengals defense
I'm going to take the Bengals in this one.
Atrocious this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I promise you Cooper Rush is not going to dice. The Bengals offense is going to do enough in this game to beat the Cooper Rush-led Dallas Cowboys.
That's why I'm picking the Bengals in this one as well.
Yeah, I'm going Bengals as well. Although it'll probably be a close game. The Bengals offense
Yeah,
should
it'll
be
be
in
like 38-33, and
because the Cowboys defense isn't anything to write home about either. So,
no.
um, and it might even be more enjoyable to watch it on the Simpsons stream than actually watch it in real life. But that's going to wrap it up for this episode. No, we're a little bit long, but we haven't made one in a while, so lots to talk about.
We've
Lots
been
of
on
good
a
games.
hiatus.
Yeah, just because of the holidays, been busy. But it's going to wrap it up for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll be back next week. And see you guys in the next one. Peace.